Hey y'all, my name is Roslyn Manning. I'm here today to talk to you about PearDeck. I'm really excited about this add-on through Google Slides. So I know we've got about another minute before the time actually starts to do this presentation. So I'm actually going to take you through the student view of PearDeck before I talk any about how to actually use it on the teacher side of things. I think it's really important that you see what does PearDeck look like as a student so you know better how to create it. So I'm going to first share my screen with you, and you are going to go to joinpd.com and type in the code, and you'll use whatever Google account that you're logged into to join PearDeck. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and then you'll go joinpd.com to type in that code. Okay. So you should see joinpd.com, and then your code is WYYOS. And it's really nice because you never, with O's and zeros, you never really know which one is it. So PearDeck gives you words to go with it. Warm yards yield orange submarines. So that should make it easy for students to be able to figure out what the letters are. So I'm going to leave this screen up here and let you join, and I'll get started in about a minute or two. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. 40 minutes just doesn't seem like enough time to talk about PearDeck as much as I would like to. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am, and you can see on my screen, the teacher side of things. And hopefully on whatever split screen or device you have, you're also seeing the student view. So feel free to look back and forth because I know as teachers, we want to know, okay, what does it look like on the teacher side? So feel free to look back and forth as you like. This is just my introduction slide. A little bit about me. I went to undergraduate at the University of Alabama, got my undergrad degree in secondary ed language arts, and I moved up here upon graduation and went ahead, got started on my master's in teacher leadership with a concentration in instructional technology. I finished with that in 2015 at the University of Louisville. I teach sophomore English and AP seminar at Oldham County High School. I am level 1 and level 2 Google certified, and I'm currently doing my first, well, I guess this is my second Kentucky Go Digital presentation. So I'm really excited about this. If you are looking at my screen share, you will see in the bottom right-hand corner, this screen is what I would project in my classroom. So students would see this on the board, and then whatever device they have, whether it's a phone or a Chromebook or an iPad or something, that's where they would see the student view. But what's on my screen that I'm sharing with you right now is what would be on the projector. So if students were to close out of PearDeck accidentally, they can always jump back in. The the join code is in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. So what you're seeing here is the teacher dashboard, and I am controlling everything. So I'm going to move to the next slide. It's teacher paced. So that means that I'm controlling all of it. Today, what I really want to focus on is redefining formative assessment and being able to use formative assessments before, during, and after lessons. And PearDeck is one of my newfound loves in the classroom. My students have loved it. I've loved it. And it's been a really great tool for us, especially to increase that engagement in the classroom. So again, you're going to participate in a PearDeck to see the student view. And then hopefully at the end, you will be able to practice using PearDeck through Google Slides. So I'm asking you, what is your role? What grades do you teach, or what is your role in the classroom, or in the school building? So I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute to do that. And as you're doing that, on my screen, you can see at the bottom, it's counting the number of responses that I've gotten. And I can also choose to project student responses. So I'm going to click that, and I can see that I've got quite a few elementary teachers in here, middle school teachers, library media specialists. So I can see exactly what people are answering as they're answering it. So I really like that feature. This is really great if you want to be able to show students the responses, if you think it's important and vital to their learning that they see what their classmates are responding. You can choose to project those. But again, if it's something that you would like to keep confidential, you don't need students to see those responses, you don't have to do that. So this is teacher-led. I am controlling this, but I can choose to turn on student paced. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can decide, okay, well, maybe I'm moving a little too slow for quite a few of my students. I'm going to go ahead and turn on student paced. They can work at their own pace and kind of go in the pace that they would like. So that's a really cool feature of PearDeck as well. Okay. So I want you to take a second. This is a sample before lesson assessment that you can do. So this is one of the slides that they provide for you. So draw or type. 1, what do you know about PearDeck? And then 2, what do you want to know about PearDeck? I'm going to give you about a minute to do that. But on the student view, you can click text in order to type, or you can draw. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click forward. So what is PearDeck? PearDeck is active learning through Google Slides with an add-on. So you might think, well, gosh, I don't want to recreate everything. I've already got these slides that I've been using for years, and I just don't want to have to recreate this. Well, you don't have to. Because it is an add-on, you can go into the slides that you have already created and add in these engaging slides with what you've already got. So it's really no more additional work. It's already created. You just have to add to it. So that's one of my favorite things about PearDeck is I'm not, recreating assignments that I've already done. So I love PearDeck for that. So this is another example slide. You are going to drag your dot to how you're feeling. Do you understand? Are you confused? Do we need to stop? You need help. So this is a really nice visual for you as a teacher to know where your students stand. And I'm going to show you some of the student responses. So I'm going to project student responses here, and you can see the dots go on, you can see where most of the dots are, and you can kind of see people playing with their dots and dragging them all over. So I really like that slide. You can also change the view. So I've got this view I really like because I can see where all the dots are on one screen, but you can also change the grid to a grid layout where you can see them individually. Or you can do a list and they're bigger, you just have to scroll through them. But for something like this, I really like to see them kind of stacked in the overlaid layout. Okay, so this one is kind of a mood gauge. So on your screen, you will see that it says, I've got this, I'm pretty sure I understand, I'm a little confused, or I'm totally lost. So this is a good way for students. Sometimes the smiley faces and the frown faces aren't really good for them because it's like, well, there's no meaning attached to it. This slide's really nice because it's got specific phrases attached. So the green smiley is, I've got this, let's move on. And they know that that's what that smiley face means. Okay, so at the end of the slides, I've got for you just the shortened URL so you can have a view-only copy and you can make a copy of the slides. So I kind of created this so if you wanted to go back and look at it later, you've got some information about it. This slide doesn't have any of the engagement activities attached to it, but I wanted to make sure you had something tangible that you could look at later if you would like to. So these are just different types of formative assessments during the lesson. I am going to go through these. I've got one of almost all of these, I think. I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, so you may not get a chance to answer every single one of them, but I wanted you to be able to see all of the different things that you can do with PearDeck. So I'm going to go ahead. This is a drag your dot, agree to disagree. So I said, summer is your favorite season of the year. I would agree with this. Summer is my absolute favorite season. I would take 100 degrees and full humidity over the freezing cold. So I know lots of people would not agree with me on that. So one thing that I really love to do with these agree or disagree slides is anticipation guides. In an English classroom, it's really, really hard sometimes to get students to engage with a text when you tell them, oh, we're going to read Shakespeare. They grumble and they get frustrated and they shut down immediately. So I really like this slide for students to go ahead and engage with a text before we start reading it. So again, I'm going to show you the student responses, and this one, I would show these responses on the screen. I think that this is something that's important that classmates see. You know, we're talking about these big universal ideas and who agrees and disagrees, right? So this is something that I would absolutely show on the screen as I'm going through an anticipation guide. And I would have a slide for each one of those things that normally I would give a worksheet and they circle agree or disagree. Well, this is a little more engaging. They get to interact with it. They can see what their classmates say instead of turning and, you know, think, pair, share kind of thing. So I love this for anticipation guides. Again, another true false, just another example, dogs are better companions than cats. So this one you would choose, instead of dragging your dot, it's kind of a multiple choice type question. Okay, so this is the bee image, is something that was pre-programmed into PearDeck. you can delete that image and put anything else on there that you would like to. For example, I used this with my sophomore English class when we started our introduction into Greek tragedy, and I put an image of the Greek theater and had them label parts of the Greek theater. Understanding that for them, understanding each part is really vital for them to be able to visualize what's going on stage. So that was really important. But again, you can input any image that you would like to. Okay, so again, timelines would be great for history classes. Obviously, that's the first thing that comes to mind, but maybe you want students to comprehend a text and you just want to know, okay, can you tell me what happens? I know especially at some of those younger grade levels, we're really, in high school, we're really looking at analysis and can you tell me why it's important? But those younger grade levels, well, maybe you just need to know as a teacher that they can tell you what happened in the text. Well, this would be really great for that type of thing as well. And for this one, I was doing a practice round with a colleague, and we realized that there is a line feature, so you don't always have to draw. We were having a hard time drawing, and you can actually use a line to be able to connect from the dot to the event. So that was really nice. Okay, this background is a map. You can delete that image out and put whatever you want in. You can also delete the ocean, the swamp, and the forest out of there. Again, you can add in any images that are useful for your content, for your class, for your grade level. So I'm using just the pre-programmed slides just as samples, but you can do whatever you want to do with these images in order to make it applicable to your class. All right, so math teachers, this is a graph slide that you can use. I would not know how to begin graphing this, but this is something that you could use in your math classes, and kids can do this on their phones or on a Chromebook or whatever, and they can draw the line for this graph. So this is something that math teachers could even use. I know that sometimes math teachers in technology PDs sometimes wonder, like, well, how can I use this in my classroom? Because it seems like a lot of things are geared towards those reading heavy contents like English and history, but this is something perfect that you could use for a math class. All right, so I had a little trying to figure out which colors were which and using different colors on the student side of it to match, the red to the red and all of that. So this slide was really fun. And actually, I realized as I was doing it that it was so easy to switch between colors that it really didn't take that much time. I kind of wondered with something like this, would students get so caught up in the color that they were choosing that it would take more time, and this lesson that was supposed to give me immediate feedback would take forever. And I found that, especially with the line feature, instead of having to draw, it actually was really, really quick, and it was a lot of fun, even for me. I don't know much Spanish. I took 2 years of Spanish in college, but in high school I took Latin, and so this was a difficult slide for me, but it was fun. And even for me, I don't know a whole lot about that content, but I really got into it. So I kind of felt like, wow, that's what a student might feel like if, okay, they don't really like Spanish that much, but they could get into it because, it's something different they haven't done before. So I thought that was really neat that I could kind of empathize a little bit with students on that side of it. So that was cool. Okay, I am going to, the next slide is going to ask you, it's a mind mapping slide, and it's going to ask you for some ideas for using PearDeck in the classroom. And so I'm going to give you just a little bit longer to work on this one. I really would like for you to just kind of brainstorm some things. And as y'all are writing some ideas, I'm going to project student responses. And so maybe some of those teachers that are tuning in, or even technology integration specialists that are tuning in, this would be a really good way for y'all to get some ideas from each other. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click to the next slide, and once I start getting some responses in, I will project those student responses, and hopefully y'all can a way to collaborate with each other and get some ideas that way. So on the YouTube chat, Carrie Nethery asked if student responses are saved for you to look at. Yes, everything is saved. And one of the really neat features of PearDeck is that you can, so the lesson's taking longer than you expected, you can end the session, save it, first period English 2. And come back the next day and resume the session. All of their responses are saved. You can go back and look at them. And then at the end of that, you can save it again. So this is really, really cool because you get to save all of their work. It's really neat and really awesome, and the kids love it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and project some of these student responses. I don't think that layout's not going to work. Okay. So warm up and closure embedded into presentation, which is awesome. I love that idea, and that's actually how I use it as well. Review games. Easy way to discuss cross-curricular content, introduction of new content. So this teacher even said, I'm a PE teacher, always looking for ideas when displaced from gym. That would be awesome. This teacher likes that it can be student paced for those times when you want them to go through the lesson independently. I also love that. And you can turn that on and off in the middle of a lesson. So you don't have to decide at the beginning of your lesson, oh, this is going to be teacher paced or this is going to be student paced. You can switch back and forth, and it's incredible. I love that. And again, using this as a way to check for understanding. Absolutely. I know that I'm so guilty of being able to, or not being able to, but of just assuming that kids get it because they're not asking questions. But a lot of these slides allow for them to be able to ask questions or tell you how they're feeling about the content without being embarrassed in front of their peers. Not only great for students, but for teacher meetings. Absolutely. As an administrator, they could use this to get teachers engaged and excited about professional development or in service days or whatever. Ooh, I like this as well. Timelines can be used for all subjects, like steps in a math problem or a science experiment. That's perfect. I had not considered that, but that really is a wonderful way to use the timeline as well. Using the maps and latitude and longitude, wonderful. Student self-assessment, absolutely. And you'll see at the end of the PearDeck, it will ask the student, how are you feeling about this? And they give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And that's really nice too. Sometimes kids get a little goofy with it and they're in a bad mood for the day and they just put a thumbs down. But as a teacher, that also tells us, gives us a little glimpse into them. Maybe it's not that they're not understanding the material, but we're able to be a little more sympathetic to them because they're having a bad day. So that's really nice. Interactive breaks during the lecture. Absolutely. I'm always looking for ways to get kids to take a little mental break. And this is a great way to do that. Brainstorming for project-based learning, check-ins, informative assessments, self-assessments. Of course, these are all really, really great ways to use PearDeck. Could use matching to teach the parts of the computer to younger students, for sure. Brainstorming and sharing writing ideas using the mind map. Yes, as an English teacher, we're writing constantly, and even this one slide using the mind map, they could start outlining a paragraph or an essay or something like that. So, very good. I'm loving these responses. I'm getting some really great ideas as well. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide. The next slide will sort of introduce some of the various end of lesson slides that come with PearDeck. So you can ask questions, they circle their mood. You can also use creative type questions. So this first one, in 1 minute, write the most important takeaway from today's lesson. So I'll give you probably less than a minute to do that, but I'll give you some time to work on that now. Okay. So the next slide you'll see, this is another mood slide, but this one's a little bit different than the one I showed you at the beginning. The one at the beginning had very specific, text to go with each smiley face. This one's just a circle how you're feeling about the lesson. My students have really gotten into this. They've gone as far as to black out the entire screen except for the one smiley face that they were supposed to circle. So they do get a little bit crazy with it, but they really did seem to have fun with it, and it's at least a good indicator for how, like, their mood and their attitude towards the lesson. Okay, so in just a second, while you're finishing up, I am going to end this session. I'm going to save it to the PearDeck. And I've got a 30-day free trial of the premium version of PearDeck. I saw a question on the YouTube chat that, is this free? Yes, it's free. It's an add-on through Google Slides. Now, there is an option there's a premium option that you pay for. I would personally never pay for something like this just because I'm a teacher and it's usually a lot of money. So if you're interested in using PearDeck, I would suggest waiting until you go back to school to start that free trial because it is only 30 days. But one of the really great things with the free trial or with the premium upgrade, is that you have the option to publish takeaways for students. So what that means is students will get a copy of the slides and all of their responses that go with it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to end this session here in just a second, not the YouTube session, but the PearDeck session. And I'm going to get a link for the takeaways, and I'm going to put that link in Google Slides in my slide deck. I'll show you where I'm putting it in there. And when you click on the link, it will take you to your own takeaways, not any other students. So when you get your own takeaways, you are not going to see any other students. It's specific to you. So if you'll give me just a second, I'm going to end this session. And this was PearDeck Kentucky Go Digital. And see, I've got published student takeaways there. I'm going to save and end the session. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to make this link a little bit more manageable for you. And you go digital takeaway. All right. So I've got this takeaway, and I'm going to go into my slides all the way towards the bottom. Your takeaway link. And when you have time, you can go to this short link or this short URL and download those takeaways. And it should just be your responses that you created through the session. And that way you'll kind of see what would students get. And again, that is only in premium. So I don't suggest doing that free trial until school starts back and you're ready to start using it. So on my screen here, I've got my slide deck, and this will be an opportunity for you to kind of go into Google Slides, choose some slides that you want to work with, and play around with it for a few minutes. So in order, you have to first get the add-on for PearDeck. So I've got some informational type slides on here, but I'm actually going to take you through. You can look at my screen, and this is just information from for later. So you're going to go to add-ons, and you'll want, I've already got the add-on, so it shows up here, but you'll go to get add-ons. And you will search for PearDeck. And here, mine says manage because I've already got it, but you'll click get add-on or free. Okay, so once you've got the add-on, you want to make sure that you go to PearDeck and open PearDeck add-on. And it will pull up the toolbar on the right-hand side. And there are various types of slides that are pre-programmed into here. Beginning of lesson, it gives you tons of different things to choose from. I'm going to click one, and I'm going to go to I'm going to go here. And you will see, what did you learn from homework? I'm going to use this one. And it's inserting the template. And you can change almost everything about this slide, but make sure if you look here at the bottom, PearDeck interactive slide, do not remove this bar. You don't want to remove that, but you could change this question. Like a question that I might use for some of my reading quizzes or something like that. What punctuation mark best represents this chapter? Explain. And that would show up on their screen. So you can change the text. You don't have to just stick with their template. That's not, the end all be all. So you can change that. Okay, so that was a sample beginning of lesson. Again, the during lesson slides, I went through most of these with you. I think this summarize what you've just learned might actually be new since I created my presentation. So several of these here, you just choose from the right-hand side and insert it into your slides. You can also, and this is something that I did not put in my presentation. I thought about it, but I ultimately decided not to. You can insert a website, and on the student view, it shows them the website. And I'm going to use PearDeck.com. And in their student view, it shows them that website. Maybe you want them to do some sort of like mini web quest or something like that, but you don't want them going anywhere else. You can put that website into your PearDeck and ask them questions, and they can answer questions that way. So you can actually insert a website into your slides, which is really cool. And this shows you like what it might look like on their screen. Obviously, PearDeck's not the best website to use, but it's a really cool feature if you've got a website that you really like and you really want them to use. So that's cool. Okay. So a couple things I wanted to make sure I didn't forget, so I'll put them in my slides. The teacher-paced lessons, again, you can turn on that student-paced mid-lesson, and then you can turn it off and you can go back and forth, whatever you want to do, whatever works best for your classroom. You can project student responses as well, and you can turn that on and off. It's not a one and done type thing. And then you can actually, and I meant to show you this as I was going through the PearDeck session, but you can ask a new question mid-lesson, and there's a place in the dashboard for you to do that. So if you're realizing, oh, wait a minute, I need to backtrack a little bit, students aren't quite getting what I need them to get or what I wanted them to get, you can ask a new question mid-lesson just from the teacher dashboard. You can throw that in there. So that's really cool. You can stop and save a session and then resume it the next day. So, and student work, all of that is saved. It's really great. And again, it can be used with your current slides. No need to recreate them. And if you would like, I think I've got a little less than a minute, maybe 30 seconds. If you would like to have a copy of these slides, there's a short bit.ly link. I can see that quite a few of you are already in here anyway, but there's a bit.ly link there for the slides. Also, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to get some feedback from you about this training session, about PearDeck. So here, there's another bit.ly link up here. Just takes you to a quick Google form. It should probably take you maybe 2 or 3 minutes at the most. So I would really, really appreciate your feedback there. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to email me or to get in touch with me on Twitter. I've really enjoyed taking you through PearDeck. I'm really excited about it. And there's another feature of PearDeck that I didn't get to present on. I just didn't have time, but PearDeck has a flashcard factory. You have to go to peardeck.com to get to it. It's not through Google Slides. But it's really, really awesome. Students create their own flashcards. You can post them to Quizlet and push them out through Google Classroom. And I have loved it. My students have loved it. They've had a really, really great time with it, and they ask about it a lot. So PearDeck Flashcard Factory is really cool as well. And if you have time to kind of play with that this summer, that would be a lot of fun. So I hope that you've all enjoyed the session. Please go to that Google form and give me some feedback. I would really appreciate that if you have time for that. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys.